Your dog is sleek, well-bred, and incredibly intelligent. She is obedient, well-behaved, and simply wonderful to have around. She runs with the right pack. You are youthful, exuberant, moneyed, and upwardly mobile. You run with the right people. You're ideal companions, lifelong friends, inseparable. But you can still train your dog to be even better. Just pop her out of the spa and follow these explicit instructions for 6 exacting hours a day.
Put your pet through these paces for a period of years and you'll start to achieve stunning results like these.
Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Andrisco, pet behavior specialist and consultant to over 400 veterinary clinics nationwide and author of the fast-selling book, Tricks I Taught My Master. This is my long-standing best friend and co-author of that book, Happy. He and I wrote the book together to teach you the best techniques for training you and your dog. We've also taken some of the principles out of our book and we've put them into this videotape. What we're about to show you are real owners and real dogs working together in the real world. Not some prima donna owner and her pet like you saw in the opening sequence of this tape. Now we're ready to get back to the basics of obedience training. But we're going to present it in a way that you've never seen before. Think about every book, every training manual, every videotape, and every technique you've ever tried before. The results stand there, panting in front of you. Every other product you've ever purchased has told you one thing: successful training is a function of the time that you put into it. And we're not going to tell you any differently. Time does make a difference. But what we are going to tell you that they don't is that it is possible to train your dog without the time commitment of a professional. You can't afford to spend all day with your dog like they do. That's the reason their dogs are in all those videos in the first place. Not because of the time they put in. All dogs put in the same day. But because of the time their owners put in. But you've got to get up every morning and go to work. And with your hectic lifestyle, when are you going to find time for lunch, let alone the kind of time required by those other training methods? Sure, training does take some time. But what you're about to see are real dogs trained in the kind of real time people have. No actors, no show dogs, no 6th, 7th, or even 10th takes. Just real dogs trained by real people in the real world. Before you start training, you want to have a real good idea of where you want to end up. Your definition of success is extremely important. Believe me, if you want the canine equivalent of Miss Manners, you're going to have to spend a lot of time training. But that's not what most people want. They just want a dog that can do the basics. I define success as a behavior that makes you happy. So when you're happy with the outcome, the training is complete. If your dog's been urinating in the house 3 times a day, you may be ecstatic cleaning up just one mistake a month. Pet behavior can almost always be improved, but no pet will ever be perfect, even the ones you see on TV. The difference is that their bad habits end up on the cutting room floor instead of your living room floor. What we're going to teach you will give you and your dog a firm foundation in the shortest possible period of time. There are 5 basic obedience commands that every real dog should know. These commands are sit, stay, come, heel, lie down or down. There's also a 6th command, break or free, which allows a pet to do whatever she wants to, except to misbehave. Teaching these commands takes planning, because every training technique you use will require some sort of correction. To get the right results, you must equip your dog properly. There are 3 prevalent methods, each with their own distinct advantage. The training collar, the remote training collar, and, believe it or not, a ghost collar. That's right, ignoring your dog is one of these options. The technique you choose will depend on where your dog is, why your dog isn't responding, and which technique you can implement in time. For example, if your dog doesn't come when called, it would be real difficult to yank his collar from 30 feet away. Thus, a remote training collar would be the desired technique. On the other hand, if your dog is misbehaving because it wants attention, don't chase her down. Hold your ground and wait for her to come to you. We're going to focus on the training collar because it really is a common denominator. Once you understand its proper use, it's much easier to jump to other methods. The reason we use the training collar is because it mimics something a dog already understands. In other words, it mimics the way one dog would discipline or correct or dominate another dog in the natural environment. Of course, your purpose really isn't to dominate, it's to educate or domesticate. And when you use the training collar properly, it won't cause your dog any discomfort, physically or mentally. The first thing you need to do is to get a training collar that fits. A collar fits properly when you can barely slide it on over your dog's head. A dog's head is always larger than the circumference of its neck, so the collar will hang loosely once it's in place, but it won't come off easily. This allows you to leave the collar on at any time. This is important because your dog can misbehave anywhere and any place. Just be sure you're close enough to grab onto it. The first thing you need to do is eliminate the collar as a factor in learning, whether it's a traditional training collar or a state-of-the-art remote collar. You can do this by putting the collar on your dog for at least 3 days before the actual training begins. This is called a dummy equipment effect. Leave it on him the whole time. Get him used to the feel and the smell of it. Take him for walks. Play with him as you normally would, but do not use it for its intended purpose. Your goal is to make the training collar part of your dog's everyday natural environment, so he won't associate it with the training corrections. The same holds true for a remote collar. When you're ready to start training, the first thing you need to know is how to give an obedience command. Let's see how it's done. Say the command one time. It's important that you never say it more than once because this will confuse your dog.
Stay.
But say the command the same way every time your pet doesn't respond. Say it at the same volume. Say it using the same encouraging tone. Consistency helps your dog understand the language of training. But body language is a different story. It's important that you vary what you're doing with your hands and body. That's because you don't want your dog's response to depend on your position. Most people, when teaching a dog basic obedience, will stop whatever they're doing to say the command. If you do this, your dog may obey you only when you aren't moving or when you're doing a certain body or hand movement. Once you've given a command, silently count out 2 seconds. 1001, 1002.
Good.
If your dog obeys your command, reward him. Let's review quickly. When you give a command, say the command once. Say it the same way every time. Be sure to vary your body language. Silently count 2 seconds. When he obeys, reward him. You should try and use verbal or physical praise when rewarding your dog. When possible, try to use a combination of both. Petting and verbal praise reinforce each other extremely well. I try to discourage food rewards because people tend to rely on them. And then, of course, so does the dog. If you condition your dog to expect food, sure enough, you won't have any with you when a critical situation arises. If she doesn't obey your command, you'll need to correct her. The correction should be a quick, immediate tug and then complete release of her collar. Only correct your dog once when she fails to execute a command. If she still doesn't obey, reset her and begin again. It works the same way with the remote training collar. Say the command only once, and if your dog doesn't obey, correct her only once with the correction from your remote training collar. Initially, what your dog is learning is that when you give a command, that means she's going to get a tug on her collar. After 3 or 4 attempts, your dog will finally figure this out. It won't be something she likes, but you must remain consistent. She may turn and growl. She may act submissive. All dogs react a little differently, but in every case, the dog's goal is to retain control over the area of her life you're trying to change. You'll be sorely tempted to vary your approach. You might want to repeat the command. You might want to tug on the collar. You might want to yell at your dog. You'll want to push the button. But don't do any of these things. You'll only frustrate yourself and your dog. Persevere. When you do, you'll find that she'll obey about the 10th try, if only by accident. When she does, praise her. When you make it clear that this is the reward she can expect for obeying your command, you'll find she'll do it almost every time. Be consistent, and your pet will learn that she must give the same response every time. Predictability is what will finally help you gain control of your pet. Hand signals are not an important part of basic obedience training. Usually, when you most need your dog to respond, he won't be looking at you. He's more likely to be running away from you, distracted by a rabbit, a child, or another dog. That's why voice commands are so important. If your dog obeys you at the sound of a single word, he'll be able to respond in any situation. Sit is the easiest command to teach your dog because he spends so much time in that position naturally. It's one of the most basic rules of canine etiquette. The command itself requires a dog to touch his buttocks to the ground for a few seconds. But this doesn't mean that he has to stay in that position. Blaze and Tom are going to help us explain. Here's what to do. Say the word sit 1 time. Do not repeat the command. Then silently count 1001, 1002. If your dog sits, praise and pet him. If he doesn't, correct him only once with an immediate and quick tug and then complete release of the collar. If after the correction he still doesn't sit, go back to square one and begin again. If you're using a remote training collar, substitute a push and release of the correction button in place of a tug of the collar. Reactions vary, but one thing is consistent. Dogs always try to find ways to avoid the tug on their training collar or the remote collar correction. What you must teach your dog is there's only one way to do it, by touching their butt to the ground wherever they may be. Sometimes when a dog is trying to avoid a correction, he'll back into something, like a couch or a wall. If he does, don't correct him. To a dog, touching his posterior on the ground is the same as touching it to a sofa or a wall. So he has carried out your command. To get back on track, gently pull him away from the object and ask him to sit again. You know what else helps? If you see your dog sitting on his own, reinforce the command concept by saying sit as he's going into the sitting position. Eventually, he'll associate the word with the position. Let's take one more look at the sit command. Command your dog to sit only once. Count out 2 seconds. If your dog touches his buttocks to the ground for a few seconds, he has obeyed. Correct or reward accordingly. If you want to teach your dog, it's important to understand how they learn, because it really is different from the way we do. Dogs are more basic and consistent than we are. They need predictability more than we do. A dog's responses are conditioned responses. They learn to associate things based on repeated experience. Ivan Pavlov first demonstrated this over 100 years ago. Your goal is to get your dog to associate an unpleasant stimulus with their misbehavior. At the same time, you're providing them with an alternative behavior that gives them a positive response, or at least puts an end to the negative stimulus. Let me give you a quick example of how human behavior can innocently send the wrong message to a dog. One way a human reacts to their dog's misbehavior is by trying to reassure or talk their pet out of that misbehavior. But dogs don't make this connection like children do, so they associate all that petting and sweet talk with their own bad behavior, thus reinforcing it. Only when a pet performs a behavior correctly should you reinforce it in a positive manner. The stay command comes next because it's a natural progression from the sit command. The command requires your dog to hold her current position until you say to do otherwise.
Stay.
So when you combine the sit and the stay commands, your dog will stay put in a sitting position. Amilda and Zeke are going to help us work through the stay command. Notice how close Amilda is to Zeke when she first starts the training session. Eventually, as Zeke succeeds, Amilda will move further and further back. She'll say the command stay once.
Stay.
She'll count out her response time. 1 1,000. 2 1,000. When Zeke stays, she pets and praises him. If he tries to move off, she corrects him, but only once. The correction is a quick tug on the training collar with an immediate release. I don't recommend the use of a remote training collar with the stay command. If, after the correction, he still doesn't stay, she goes back to the beginning. Let's take another look at the stay command. Command your dog to stay once. Count out 2 seconds. If your dog stays in position for a progressively longer time, she has obeyed. Correct or reward accordingly. Timing is critical to the training process because it's critical to conditioned learning. So you need to make sure that your correction happens within 2 seconds after the misbehavior or the command. Dogs have a short memory. If you can't get to your dog in 1.8 seconds, you may have lost your opportunity. But if you send the message in time, your dog will learn to take appropriate action to avoid the correction by obeying the command. Come is the next logical command in the sequence. It requires your dog to come to you and then sit either next to you or in front of you. There are times when the come command is absolutely essential. Let's say your dog takes off running, for example. The come command should cause him to stop and return to your side. Andrea and Zephyr are our real dog, real owner team demonstrating this command. Take a look at the long leash Andrea's got attached to the training collar. It's real important that you're not chasing your dog down during training. There's plenty of time for play later. Here's how you proceed. Say the word come 1 time, then let your 2 seconds pass. If your dog comes to you and remains in front of you or next to you, she's done her job. Give her the rewards she deserves. If she doesn't, correct her immediately with a quick, sharp tug on the collar. If after the correction she still doesn't come, return her to a sit and stay position and begin again. You can also use a remote training collar to teach your dog the come command, especially in circumstances where there are lots of distractions and your dog is likely to chase. Ignoring your dog is also an appropriate training technique for the come command. Resist the temptation to chase your dog, even if he is running away from you. Instead, wait until your dog comes back to you and then reward your dog with praise, petting, or a positive tone. When you do command your dog to come, don't squat down and move your arm or arms toward yourself. If you do, your dog will learn to come to you only when she hears the command paired with this body movement. Let's go through the come command one more time. Command your dog to come only once. Count 2 seconds. If your dog moves toward you and then remains in front of or next to you, he has obeyed. Correct, ignore, or reward accordingly. Consistency is probably the most critical factor in basic obedience training. Whenever you give a command, it's important that you don't raise your voice or alter your tone. You always need to correct with the same intensity, too. Your consistency should breed consistency on your dog's part. You can encourage this by making sure that the response you allow is the same one every time. If you don't, it will confuse your dog. But if you can combine consistent commands with consistent command requirements, you'll have your dog trained in no time. Once you've taught your dog to come, now you're ready to train her to heel. This command is much more sophisticated, but it's all part of the natural training progression. It requires your dog to move next to you and do what you're doing. If you turn, your dog must turn with you. If you move fast, she moves fast. If you slow down, your dog must slow down. Di and Allie are here to help us through the heel command. A long leash is a very useful tool, especially when using a training collar. A remote training collar is also a very useful tool in teaching this command. It usually helps to have the dog start from a sit and stay position, if only for the purposes of training. Pick a direction, somewhere where you'll have some space, but you won't have many distractions, and start walking. Without stopping, say the word heel once. Then silently count 1001, 1002. If your dog is moving to pick up the pace beside you, continue for a short distance, then stop to praise and pet her. If you have a dog that doesn't obey, correct him immediately with a firm tug on the training collar or a quick correction with the remote collar. If after the correction she still doesn't heel, go back to your original positions and start again. That's heel. Let's go over it one more time just to be sure. Command your dog to heel only once. Count out 2 seconds. If your dog comes up beside you, moving as you do, she has obeyed. Correct or reward accordingly. Most dogs learn early on that a command means they're going to have their collars tugged. Even though their reactions to these corrections do vary, one thing is very consistent. They all try to find a way to avoid them. Your dog might lower her head. She may look over her shoulder. She may run away. She may make noises like she's hurt. She may do all of these things even before you push the button or tug on her collar. Other dogs run away if they can break free or go behind the house and urinate. Some take a more defiant posture, standing rigid. They may even try to bite their owner's hand. These are all possible reactions to a new training routine, especially after the novelty wears off and they realize the changes are permanent. Remember, dogs are masters of the emotional appeal. The fear of making a correction too firmly is largely based on emotion. It doesn't take much for a sad-looking dog to gain control over its human. I've even come across owners who worry that training will ruin their pet's personality, but this just doesn't occur. My own partner, Happy, looks quite pleased when asked to sit because he's been rewarded for doing it about 50,000 times. Never give up. Take a break if you want to, but never give up. You must teach your dog there's only one way to avoid the correction, and that's to follow the requirements of the command. Down or lie down is another command that's easy to train off the sit or the sit and stay position. Down. The command itself requires your dog to lie in the prone position with its head up for a few seconds. Again, This doesn't mean that he has to stay in that position unless you add the stay command to the equation. Antonella and Luke are going to help us with this one. Start by saying the command down. As usual, you'll say it only once. Count out your response time. If your dog lies down, praise and pet him. If he doesn't, correct him only once with a sharp, immediate tug on his collar. If after the correction he still doesn't lie down, reset him with the sit command and start again. Again, the remote training collar can be an effective training tool in teaching the down command. Just follow the exact same steps. Say the command once, count out your response time, push the correction button one time if your dog doesn't go into the down position. And if you ever see your dog going into the lying down position on his own, reinforce the command by saying down as he is going down. Eventually, he'll begin to associate the word with the position. Before we go on, let's take one more look at the down command. To have your dog lie down, use the down command. Count out 2 seconds for performance. If your dog lies in the prone position with his head up for a few seconds, he's executed the command. Correct or reward accordingly. If you ever see your dog starting to lie down on his own, say the command to reinforce it. That was a quick overview of the basic obedience training command concepts. Now, here's how you can extend those concepts and make them much more convenient for you and your dog. Use the command in as many situations as possible. In every room in your home, in the backyard, at the park, on a sidewalk, even when the mailman comes along. The more distractions, the better. You'll find that when you use the command under these circumstances, it will be harder for both of you, but doing so will strongly reinforce the concept for your dog. Ultimately, she must understand that no matter where she is, no matter what is happening around her, no matter what she's doing at that time, when she hears your command, you will either correct or reward her based on her actions. Once she learns, she'll always want to receive the rewards and avoid the correction. Then she'll obey. Be consistent, persistent, and patient, and you'll get the same response from your dog every time. Break, or free, is the last of the basic obedience training commands. Essentially, it releases your dog from any of the previous commands you've given, allowing your dog to do anything she pleases, except to misbehave. You can either use the words break or free when releasing your dog, whichever you're most comfortable with. But I do suggest you avoid other words like okay, because you use such words too often in everyday language, and that will only confuse your dog. To teach break or free, first put your dog on the stay command. Then, do something that will get her to move. You can try jumping up and down, running away, throwing something, whatever it takes. But make sure you vary your actions so the dog doesn't associate the command with a specific behavior. When your dog breaks, she has executed your command. Break or free is different from other obedience commands in that reward is freedom itself. So there's no need to praise her, reward her, or give her a positive tone. Sometimes it can be helpful to take the training process a little further to help your pet understand these new commands. One way to do this is to set up the problem situation and work with your pet to eliminate the misbehavior. After all, humans learn under controlled settings, so why should your pet be any different? It's much faster than waiting around for a troublesome situation to crop up. What you need to do is create and execute a training plan. Here's an example. If your dog always becomes uncontrollable when the doorbell rings, ask a friend to visit. Have them make a lot of noise outside the door and then ring the bell. This will allow you to take the necessary steps to prevent problems from occurring in the future by teaching the sit, down, and stay commands in a controlled environment. Just to review, you can easily undo hours of hard work by either changing your techniques or using them inconsistently. A frustrated or an impatient owner is most likely to make one of the following mistakes. Say a command more than once in a voice that grows louder and louder. Physically force the dog to execute the command, like pushing down the dog's buttocks during sit training. Require that the dog look at them, become angry and get physical with their pet, yell at the dog, or just walk away and give up. All of these commands inhibit, even prevent, teaching these commands to your pet. In fact, over-verbalization, like yelling, screaming, or repeating the command, is a severe deterrent to teaching your dog. Shouting will never change a misbehavior. It may stop a misbehavior at the time, but you'll be right back yelling at your dog for the same thing soon afterward. Cut verbalization to a minimum and concentrate on the specific technique of tugging the training collar to teach the command. Be calm, cool, and consistent, and you'll end up with a happy pet that understands all of these commands. It does take some dogs longer than others to learn these commands, but I've used these techniques successfully in every dog I've trained, with the exception of 2, in the last 14 years. Some dogs need as few as 5 trials to learn the response. Some may need as many as 200, not in a row, but possibly over a 2-week period. But most dogs will learn their first command in about a week of 1-hour sessions. And as they come to understand the process, they'll pick up new commands even more quickly. You already have the advantage of working with a partner who craves attention. Just turn that attention into training and keep it fun for both of you. Hold training sessions to manageable lengths, especially for very young dogs, and try to end each one on a positive, reinforcing note. When you're done, you'll still have the same real dog you've always had. She'll just be better suited for the real world, and you will have accomplished it in a real short period of time. Now that Happy and I have talked to you about basic obedience training, we'd like to take some time to talk to you about the tools that'll help you with that training. For example, let's look at some of the products that are manufactured by radio systems. There are a lot of reasons to choose radio systems, reasons no other manufacturer can claim. But from our standpoint, one thing really stands out, and that's the stand they've taken for responsible pet ownership. They put a lot of care into the design and the production of each product because they really care about the relationship between you and your pet. You know, they're one of the only manufacturers out there that offers a positive tone to help you reinforce your pet's good behavior. And any veterinarian or pet behavior specialist will tell you that rewarding your dog is more important to the training process than correction is. Let's take a look at some of these features and the benefits they offer to both you and your pet. While we're here with Cynthia, we thought we might review some of the questions that come up the most often.
I'm sure I'll have some for you.
Well, let's start over here with the radio fence system.
Oh, this is the system with the little flags.
Yes, it's an underground containment system. It consists of a home-based transmitter. Most people put these in their garage or utility room of some kind. Then there's a dog-based receiver.
And they wear that on their collar?
Yes, they do. And finally, this is the boundary wire. This is what's buried around the perimeter of the yard. The transmitter constantly sends a radio signal out through this boundary wire. When the dog comes too close, his receiver picks up the signal and it gives him a warning tone. Any closer, and he receives a correction.
What do you mean by a correction?
Well, it's not really a correction. It's more like static electricity. You know, like when you shuffle your feet on the carpeting and then you touch your TV set?
So it doesn't really hurt much. I wouldn't want to hurt my dog.
No, in fact, it doesn't hurt at all. It's not designed to hurt, it's designed to help. And really, it's a lot less dangerous than that traffic your dog would be running into if he wasn't contained. But a radio fence keeps him where you want him. When he approaches the boundary, he'll stop. This is something that dogs learn quickly.
So what are the flags for?
The flags are only used at the beginning to give the dog a visual reference for the boundary. You slowly remove them as the dog learns. Eventually, most dogs don't even test the system anymore. The learned behavior, staying within the boundary, becomes ingrained. You can set your boundaries pretty much any way you want to, and the settings are adjustable to account for the wide range of dogs that might benefit from a radio fence.
That would be most of them, I would think.
That's correct, and really the system themselves are a lot less expensive than a regular fence. And when you think about it, they're a lot more humane than, say, a cage, a rope, or even a chain.
Yeah, so my dog wouldn't be tied down. She sure wouldn't mind the freedom.
That's what radio fence is all about. Radio fence is designed to work in any size yard. You can also get an ultralight receiver for those small dogs and a special receiver for those bigger, more stubborn dogs. So you can take the time you need to teach your dog the boundaries in your yard. It's not a good idea to teach by trial and error.
But with the proper training, she'll have free rein outdoors, within the parameters I set, of course.
Correct. Did you know Radio Systems has a product that works similar indoors?
No, but that makes sense. My dog's an inside dog, and you wouldn't believe the trouble she can get into.
Oh no, I know it well. That's why a product like Radio Repel is so important.
It looks like a frisbee.
Yes, it does, but you put this little frisbee in a room that's off limits to your dog, and he won't chase anywhere near it. It works on the same principle as the wireless containment system. When your dog is wearing the receiver collar and she tries to enter the wrong room, she receives a correction.
Like the guest room.
Exactly. Or the trash. Let's say your dog likes munching on the garbage once you turn in for the night. All you have to do is readjust the correction circumference, and it'll keep your dog on the straight and narrow. It has a lot of uses like this.
What about furniture?
Sure, a Radio Repel will help you there, but so will a Radio Systems pet mat.
What's that?
Well, here it is right here. It's a mat that you put wherever you don't want your pet to go, like on a dresser or on a couch or near the Christmas tree.
How does it work?
Well, when your pet walks across it, it gives the pet a correction. It really isn't that bad. Here, feel.
Yeah, I see. Seems like this would be perfect for my cat. She loves to jump up on the couch.
Most radio system products work equally well with dogs and cats.
Are there any that don't?
Really, only those that solve behavioral problems specific to dogs.
Like barking, maybe?
Some dogs just bark all night long, and most owners, they have no idea what to do about it. And even if they did, they're too tired. They're up all night listening to the barking. Now there's a product that can solve that problem for them. It's called a bark control collar.
Does it work the same as the containment systems?
Sort of. The dog wears a collar with the receiver, just like they do with many Radio Systems products. But in this case, the dog's own bark becomes the transmitter.
So he gets a correction.
Well, he gets a warning tone first, but yes, if he continues barking, he does get a correction.
What if the dog needs to bark? Say, if someone decides to break into our house.
A bark control collar is only a deterrent to excessive barking. It won't eliminate a dog's desire or ability to bark. Believe me, a dog can always break through the barrier to bark when they want to.
Any dog can, or just protection-trained dogs?
Any dog. Radio Systems even has a special bark control collar that uses a voice recognition chip to memorize your dog's unique bark.
Wow, and why would you want to do that?
To eliminate erroneous corrections caused by the barking from nearby dogs.
Incredible. Okay, what's next?
Well, it's the Deluxe Good Dog Remote Training Collar.
And this gives you what? A better, faster way to train your pet?
Exactly. You can use it for some of the obedience training we covered earlier in the tape, or to eliminate a wide range of very frustrating misbehaviors.
So it covers just about everything, huh?
Yes, the good dog trainer allows you to give either a positive or a negative tone, depending on your dog's behavior. If she ignores the negative tone, you can follow it within 2 seconds with a correction.
So you could use it to train your dog not to jump up on a visitor?
Sure, watch this. Here's a dog that's being trained with the good dog trainer. When he starts to jump up on the guest, his owner presses the negative tone button. When he gets down, he is rewarded with praise, petting, and a positive tone. If he continues to jump, he would receive a correction. And very soon, you won't have to have the remote handy anymore at all.
So the idea is to train them and then put the remote away?
Well, in most cases, you'll soon be relying on your dog's conditioned behavior. Your need for the device will be greatly reduced, but consistency is critical. Another option is what's called the ultrasonic pet trainer.
Ultrasonic. So it works with sound?
Yes, it does, but the sound is well above the human range of hearing.
So it works for dogs?
And cats. In fact, you can use this to correct almost any misbehavior. You can keep cats off your kitchen table. You can keep dogs from digging holes in your yard. The ultrasonic pet trainer has a very effective training range of up to 30 feet for both in and outdoors. And it's very simple to use. You just take the handheld unit, point it at your pet, push the N button, which stands for negative, to correct your dog, and you push the P button, which stands for positive, to reward your dog.
That's pretty simple. So the pet doesn't have to wear a receiver or anything?
That's correct. The ultrasonic pet trainer is a very simple, self-contained unit. You use it, you correct the misbehavior, you put it away until you need it the next time. Most pets learn very quickly. And always be on the lookout for the occasional relapse, so keep your Radio Systems product handy.
So you're sold on radio system products too?
Oh yes, as a pet behavior specialist, I've seen these products save a lot of lives. I've seen too many perfectly healthy pets put to sleep for behavioral problems, urinating at carpeting, digging holes in the yard, chewing on furniture or clothing. I think that's so sad. Radio Systems gives pet owners a way to fulfill the responsibility they undertook when they first brought their pet into the family. This kind of responsible pet ownership results in a much more positive owner-pet relationship and a happier, healthier life for millions of real pets and real owners. At least those living here with us in the real world.
Hi, I'm Randy Boyd, President of Radio Systems. All of us at Radio Systems want to thank you for buying our product. We sincerely hope the ultrasonic pet trainer will exceed your expectations. We've included with your Radio Systems product this free video on how to train your pet using basic obedience commands. And to help with the training, Radio Systems didn't get just anyone. We got Dr. Robert Andrescu, one of the world's leading authorities in pet training. He'll be walking you through the basic steps. But before we get into the training, I'd like to take a brief moment to show you some of the other tools Radio Systems has to offer you, your pet, and your home.
Radio Systems.
Creating safe, humane, and effective products.
For you, your pet, and your home.
All maintenance-free and easy to install and use.
Like Radio Systems indoor and outdoor containment systems.
Without ropes.
Without fences.
Without cages.
Giving your pet the freedom to roam.
Within the boundaries you set.
Unique features allow you to customize the system to your specific needs.
Effective.
Safe.
Pet containment.
And with more than one system to offer, Radio Systems can help you design a containment system that's right for you.
Or the Radio Systems line of training devices.
All safe, very effective.
And much less expensive than alternative methods.
From controlling excessive barking and deterring destructive behaviors
to teaching basic obedient commands.
Radio Systems pet trainers condition your pet to curb bad behaviors while rewarding for his good behavior.
Protecting your home and garden from annoying pests is
simple
and effective with Radio Systems pest deterrent systems.
Safe and humane.
No dangerous chemicals.
Pests leave.
And you, your family, and your pets stay.
Radio Systems developed a compact device.
So when your pet loses its way, someone can help your pet find its way home to you.
Safely.
And Radio Systems has a grooming comb that kills fleas without chemicals or dips. Caring for a pet requires an understanding and appreciation of a pet's basic nature.
Radio Systems recognizes this.
And that's why Radio Systems is committed to maintaining the quality in each design.
Protecting your home and keeping your pet happy and safe.
Radio Systems.
Only the best for you, your home, and your best friend.
As you can see, we have a wide variety of products designed for a wide range of needs. At the end of the training video, Dr. Andrescu will go over these products in greater detail. All of us at Radio Systems hope that this training video helps you improve your relationship with your pet. With or without our tools, please remember, there isn't a quick fix in training pets. To be successful in training, you will need to spend time with your pet. That in and of itself can be very enjoyable and rewarding for both of you. Lastly, I recommend that you don't watch the whole training video at once. It can be a little overwhelming. Break it up into segments. Watch the part on the trainer first, and later, come back and watch the obedience segments, one command at a time. Remember, an obedient pet takes your time and patience, but the rewards are worth the effort. And again, from all of us at Radio Systems, thank you.